ready?
It did go there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're joined by myself, Mark, and Reece alongside me. We've just finished qualifying. It is storming in the pit lane, and we had an early stop to Q3 with just about 4 minutes left of the session where we had red flagged the session, and the session will not be resumed.
It eventually turned into a night race there at the end.
Exactly that.
With that big storm system moving overhead, and it is now like a monsoon at the circuit.
Exactly that.
But to go over our top drivers from that session, Max Verstappen went on to take pole position ahead of Charles Leclerc in second, and then the big shocker from that session, Stroll in third, Alonso in fourth.
I mean, as I say, they only had one lap to complete basically in Q3 as a result of that rain. So, drivers who managed to do half decently in that very lap managed to get themselves a very good position in qualifying for Sunday. So, as you say, let's go through the top 10. Max Verstappen starts on pole, did well there. Leclerc in second, Lance Stroll in third, Fernando Alonso in fourth. The Aston Martin engineers are so happy with that result. Hamilton up there in fifth, Russell in sixth, Norris in seventh, Sainz only down in eighth, Perez down in ninth, and Piastri was the first driver we lost to a mistake as a result of the rain. He couldn't finish his lap as he spun out in the final sector there. He was going very quickly. He was looking to maybe beat Charles Leclerc's time. Unable to do so, unfortunately, for the McLaren driver. So he will start in 10th. Then our bottom 10, Reece.
Yes, the bottom 10 are Nico Hülkenberg in 11th, Esteban Ocon in 12th, Gasly then 13th, Kevin Magnussen in 14th. They had a good run in the end in those two Hasses, but unfortunately didn't have the pace over the rest. Alex Albon then in 15th, Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo 16th and 17th. Unfortunate, Daniel Ricciardo had some pace in Q1 in the early stages, but just was not able to get out at the end. Bottas then in 18th, Logan Sargent in 19th, and then Zhou Guanyu finishing up our 20th position.
Indeed. So if we go run through each qualifying session, Q1 happened. Nothing really to speak about. It was very stock standard sessions. We saw some very quick drives from Max Verstappen. We saw a very quick drive from Piastri. We saw Lance Stroll pretty much do very well throughout the entire qualifying, but especially in Q1 as well, outperforming his teammate Alonso in that one. And then we moved basically straight to Q2. Of course, we lost those 5 drivers as we went over Zhou, Sargent, Bottas, Ricciardo, and Tsunoda out in that session. Very, very close though running. We had only 0.047 seconds to the dropout time was from Tsunoda to the driver above him in that Q1 session. Then we went into Q2. Q2 was, again, pretty much stock standard, though right at the end they had a little bit of danger for a couple of drivers, but they managed to get their times.
We were getting a little bit nervous at the end of Q2 as well for that rain system moving a lot closer to the track. A few drivers did report some drops of rain. I remember Stroll was one of the first. But they were lucky it wasn't affecting that first session, or rather that second qualifying session. But then going into that third session, it really was make it or break it in that last lap. You had a single qualifying lap to get your time on the board, and if you didn't, unfortunately, for the likes of those like Piastri, who unfortunately was caught out a little bit too late by the rain and slipped off in the final sector, he finishes down on P10.
Indeed. So just going back to Q2, of course, and some of the things that happened there, we found Albon had his track time deleted right at the end there. He moved himself into 11th at the time. It wouldn't have really mattered too much. As I said, he wouldn't have been able to get through, but he got his track time deleted, and so he will start in 15th position. Magnussen in 14th, Gasly 13th, Ocon 12th, Hülkenberg in 11th. Gasly tried to claim, I think it was Gasly, was it Ocon tried to claim that there was a little bit of infringement from the Ferrari.
No,
it was Hülkenberg indeed.
Yes.
Was it Hülkenberg? I thought it was an Alpine. But anyway, one of the drivers tried to complain about the Ferrari infringing. Absolutely no ways.
It was one of the Hasses.
Yeah. And then we went into our Q3 session, as we say. We went over it, but brilliant for Lance Stroll, who's currently getting interviewed, as we say. Getting up to top 3. I think this is probably his highest ever qualifying finish.
I think very well maybe, yes.
So he outperforms a teammate again, as he did in Q2 as well as Q1. He starts in 3rd alongside his teammate Alonso, who's in 4th. Hamilton and Russell are 5th and 6th. It's not too bad a position for them, but they're still going to have to try and get past those Aston Martins. Leclerc, very happy up, obviously, in 2nd, and Verstappen on pole. The interesting thing is, the pole driver doesn't often win in Brazil. So Max Verstappen on pole, is that a bad thing?
I don't think so. I think Verstappen will be happy either way. If he gets taken into the first corner, he can still fight for it throughout the race. But speaking of the race on Sunday, I think we need to give some predictions, because it's going to be an interesting one with a lot of differing drivers in not necessarily their usual positions at the start for that race. So give me your prediction for Sunday's finish.
Whoa.
I know it's a long way away, and we still have the
We
sprint
still have the
race.
sprint race, of course, between that. But I do
Yes.
think... I think Max Verstappen will, as he has done most of the season, for all that we say, Podium Sitter doesn't win, Paul Sitter rather, doesn't win this Grand Prix all that often. Max Verstappen's broken every sort of record like that this season. I think he will again. He'll start on pole. He'll finish at the top of the grid. He'll finish in first. I think second will also be Leclerc still. I think Leclerc's not going to have too much trouble coming from behind with regards to those Mercedes, as long, that's a big if, as long as Ferrari did not ruin his strategy. He should also be very much in the clear for second place. Lance Stroll will definitely lose that third place position. I think it'll either go to Hamilton or Alonso, and maybe with an outside chance of Norris. I think those McLarens are looking quite quick. Maybe they get a good strategy and they move themselves right near the top of the grid. So that's going to be my top three. I'm going to say Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso or Hamilton. I can't make my mind up.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit more out there.
Okay, here we go.
I'm going off the back of that stat that we've seen from the past 6 years.
Sure.
I think Verstappen has broken all the curses this year.
Not this one.
Let's see, maybe something else happens. It's Brazil. It's Hamilton's home race, his second home race of the season. So maybe he can do something special around here. I'm going to say Hamilton P1, Verstappen P2, Alonso P3. Let's go.
My word. We're talking Hamilton to make up 4 positions from 5th, and then for Verstappen to still only finish
If we
behind
get
him.
rain, you never know what happens.
If we get rain like this, we're not going to have a race. This is literally storming conditions, lightning and everything. There's absolutely no ways that you could race in this. I feel sorry for the crowd who have to try and avoid this, because it really is some terrible, terrible weather that we're seeing here. But could be very interesting for the rest of the weekend. Supposedly there's no rain for the rest of the weekend. This is the only time we're going to have some sort of weather system like this. We should have a dry day tomorrow in sprint shootout, as well as the sprint race itself, as well as the race on Sunday. So very interesting sessions coming up. Going to the comments just before we end off, of course. Daisy just saying, pretty bad way to end quali with a red flag and really bad storms. Apparently the weather will be better, as we just said, for the race. Let's keep our fingers crossed for a safe race weekend. Indeed, hopefully it will do. Cora just saying, for those wondering, Stroll was last in Q3 in Belgium this year. I think he maybe might mean Q1. Because that would be more of a statement. Of course, Stroll doing very well today, as James is saying. That rain really did throw things around. Indeed, it did. Daisy just saying Stroll did pretty well. Let's hope he has a good mindset for the race on Sunday. And TC saying Lewis will be P2. That's your prediction.
I'm not that bold.
Well, you said Lewis P1.
Well,
so that's going to be an
you never
interesting
know.
one
Let's
to
see what happens.
Let us know in the comments, guys, of course, what your predictions are for the race on Sunday. And, of course, be sure to join us on Forever Sports tomorrow. That's the other channel, of course, for our live sprint shootout and live sprint race on that channel. And we'll be doing the reviews back on this channel as per usual. Otherwise, you've been joined by myself, Mark, and Reece alongside me. Shout out to our sponsors, BitDefender and BOYLESPORTS, as we end off this